All right, Steeler fans, it is time for the mailbag segment every single Wednesday. Even when the Steelers play on Thursday, we've got you covered. Not a ton of questions. I was totally cool with that because this is going to be a long show already. So let's get this show on the road. Jeff Coons, he said, I missed the question deadline today. He actually didn't, and I had to let him know. So he said, here we go. Not a question, more of a comment. Thursday feels like a load management game. Get in, take care of business with everyone on the roster, contributing. Weather will be a factor by the looks of things. Run the ball, control the clock. Don't give the Browns hope. This is their Super Bowl. Start fast, take away the momentum, and force Winston to throw in the elements. Yes, 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 and yes. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I just outlined in my keys to victory. I agree 100% with my buddy up north, Jeff, even though he spells his name wrong. Corey Eckenroth said, short week, Jeff, is this what finally trips up the Steelers and their plotting methodical march towards February? Trips them up? Why would they? I get it. And I did a YouTube short, Steelers Grilling Thoughts on Twitter and YouTube about, is this the dreaded trap game? Is this the game that the Steelers overlook their opponents? I can't say that I think it is. I think this team is different. I think this team is kind of, I don't know, they feel like they're a little bit more mature. Maybe I'm wrong. And maybe my perception of things is way off. And it could be. Wouldn't be the first time. But at the same time, I can't help but think that this team is realizing they have bigger fish to fry. And also, which was pointed out to me on Twitter, some would say that they already had their trap game, and that was the loss in Indianapolis. It's rare that they have more than one in a season, but still, that's my thoughts. Mark Bergen from the Believe in Steelers podcast with Like Taylor, he said, what do you recommend the Steelers do to improve their red zone efficiency and score touchdowns when they're there? I think personally what they need to do is they need to get comfortable running out of different sets. Right now, when I see they get into the red area, the field gets short. Defenses know they have that 13th defender, which is the back end line. So they don't have to worry about plays getting behind them. And that gives them that framework of, okay, we have this part of the field and it's all we have to worry about. I would love to see the Steelers be able to run out of spread sets, getting Darnell Washington, not necessarily, if he's on the field, that's fine, but don't have him in line. Don't go in with double tight ends all the time. You have to do things that are different. And I know I got some crap. I caught some strays on social media because I suggested that maybe the Steelers use Justin Fields in the red zone. I'm not saying that when the Steelers go inside the 20, Russell Wilson comes off the field and Justin Fields just goes on like automatically. No, I think in certain downs and distances, in certain areas, you utilize the talent that you have. Justin Fields running the read option, I think there's value there. If he reads it and they're triggering him, he's looking at the pass rusher coming off the edge, he hands it off. So it's one of those things where it's like, yes, I think you do that. Let's go to the next Ride or Die Crew poll of the week from Believers. After the 2-0 start, the hard part of the schedule, are the Steelers 100% legit, or is it smoke and mirrors like some believe? So the options were legit contender, somewhat of a contender, somewhat of a pretender, total pretender. I voted for a legit contender. I talked about this on Monday. Go back and listen, check out the podcast. I went on a legendary rant all about this. Tell me why this team can't compete. Tell me why they can't contend, because they had one game, and people will say, I talked to my brother on the phone. He said, this isn't the first game they didn't score a touchdown. I said, I can't say that a game in week 1 when Justin Fields was the quarterback, his first start as a Steeler, and comparing it to Russell Wilson, who now is 4-0 as a starter and is still, navigating these waters himself. I can't compare them. There's no parallels there for me. It's different teams, different offenses, in my opinion. So that's why I think they're a contender. Let's go to Archie Wilson. Hi, Jeff. Do you think that the Steelers should be using Justin Fields in goal line situations where his legs and other dimension in a compacted field? So you talk about red zone and in goal situations. Also, to this point, how do you feel about the Pat Freiermuth extension for a system that is tight end friendly? It seems Pat can't get a look. I'm for Justin Fields being used. I think on 3rd and 1, you would, put him in there. He's going to do a better quarterback sneak than Russell Wilson, and you don't even have to sneak it if you don't want to. In terms of the Pat Freiermuth, I honest to God don't know what's going on. He should be more productive. The offense that they have would make you believe that he would be more productive. I'm not sure. I really don't understand what's going on there. I'm hopeful that they'll figure it out. I don't think he's complaining, but when you're seeing Darnell Washington getting a lot of these targets down the middle, you're thinking, why can't Pat Freiermuth do that? So it's an ongoing confusing aspect of this team. Pat Freiermuth is. We're going to continue to take a look as the year goes on. Thomas asked, with Russ's numbers falling back to earth, is he really a better choice for quarterback? He takes way too many sacks. He doesn't add much other than a few more deep balls. Also, do you think the Christmas game is significantly more important now that Casey has a loss? Okay, let's start with the second question first. Is it more important? Hell yes, it's more important. Now, if the Steelers keep winning, that game could be for the number 1 seed. People say it's looking down the road too much. I'm a fan. I can do that. It could be. But the first question, I think that Russell Wilson, he showed something in that game. Look, he's not going to – turnovers are not his thing. He's going to take a sack before he did. That's why that interception in the second half was so odd, so weird to see. That's not his MO. So when I saw that, I was like, that's weird. That's really strange. So if he takes a sack instead of risking a turnover, I got to say I'll live with it with the Steelers defense. But he's going to have to try to navigate these waters as well. And they have to figure out what works best. There's tape on him out there now, so he's going to have to adjust. Brandon Diaz, he said, short week. Do we have enough time to fix the red zone offense? Absolutely. You just got to clean some things up. Next, who's more important to our win this week, Minkah or Najee? I'm going to go with Najee, although I do also predict that Minkah might get off the schneid, if you know what I mean. Let's go to the next one. Over under for a Minkah pick. I'm going to say over. If there's a quarterback right now that'll throw the pick, it's Jameis Winston. So let's take the over for Minkah Fitzpatrick interception. He said, you said it on the post game in Monday's pod, but will we see Justin Fields in the red zone this week? I don't know. We'll see. Now in part 2, best advice for a brand new golfer for teeing off / driving and playing the fairway. Wow. That's a lot, man. I'm going to tell you what, Brandon. I'm going to put out for my next week's Fairways and Dreams podcast. I do a golf podcast in case those are listening. You don't know. Look up Fairways, the and symbol of dreams. And that's my podcast. Do 2 a week. Send me this via DM or something, and I will answer all those there. And that's probably a lot safer space right now. All right, let's go to Timothy Laurelin. I hope I said that. He said, do you believe we'll see Fields more in the red zone? I think there's an option there. We'll put it that way. We talked about that a good bit. Doc M, he said, I'm happy with the team's performance, so I'll ask a different type of question. Since Tomlin and Cowher at this point have had similar tenures, who do you believe has the stronger coaching career? What are Coach T's strengths that set him apart? But that's tough. That's tough. They're very similar. They're both motivating coaches. They're both coaches that a lot of people called players coaches. They're both coaches that a lot of people said struggle when the games mean the most. People forget that Bill Cowher, some wanted him fired when he didn't win in 2001, when he struggled in 2004, when games mattered the most. I think what separates them apart, because there's a lot of similarities, is that I think Mike Tomlin, he's a type of coach. I think that he is kind of, at least on the defensive side of the ball, has adapted with the game well. Whereas I think sometimes some of the things that Cowher wanted to do and wanted to really focus on, you started to see the game adjust, and he never really adjusted with it. So that kind of started with Tom Brady picking apart that 3-4 zone blitz scheme, and then everyone else kind of started copycatting it. And he didn't really have an answer. That's a really tough question, and I'm just spitballing here. Good question there, Doc. Let's go to Michael W. Nouse. He said, remember that wide receiver we picked up from the Jets? Oops, forgot his name. Old guys. He said he caught a big touchdown versus Washington, but I didn't notice him versus the Ravens. Did he play? He did play. But you have to remember, too, the Steelers, if you pay attention to who they're putting out on the field, when you're starting to see a lot of Ben Skoranek, that means they are blocking, and they want their blockers out there. And so that's what Ben Skoranek does well. He's a willing blocker. He's a good blocker. And so they wanted to make sure that they had the good personnel, right personnel out there. And I know what everyone's saying. Mike Williams is a deep threat. He's a receiving threat. Let's see what happens this Thursday. Just saying, let's wait and see. Brian Haynes asked, which would be more surprising Thursday, a loss or a blowout? To me, more surprising, a loss. By far, it would be a loss. King Tibbs says, hey, Jeff, you're awesome, man. Kudos to you and the SEN crew. I was wondering what's your thoughts on Najee so far this season, and what's the probability that he becomes the first running back to sign a second deal in forever? Should we have paid up when we had the chance? So that's a great question. I think Najee's having a great year. I'd love to have him back if he can stay healthy. The last running back to sign a set to sign, not offer. Le'Veon Bell was offered a deal. He didn't sign it. The last running back to sign a second contract was Verron Haynes way back in the day. Okay, so you got to remember that. Should we have paid him? I think they should have. I was very open about that. I thought the Steelers made a mistake not picking up the fifth-year option. They didn't want that guaranteed money. If they give him an extension or if they sign him in the offseason, they can move the numbers around so it fits. I get that too. So we'll see. Tom E says, Jeff, it's been a bit. Question is, do you see a scenario where both Russ and Justin are on the field at the same time? Clearly a trick play, but the options are nice. What is your take? I don't see that anytime soon. Not saying that they're not working on it, not saying it's not available, but I don't see that anytime soon. Steelers Realm podcast says, will Peyton Wilson have another splash play against the Browns? Probably not. I would think that they're going to have this is going to be more of an Landon Roberts game, but they've been getting him out there. I'd love to see him make a splash play. I hope he proves me wrong. All right, Gooby says, what are the odds we get more Fields in the red zone? Yeah, a lot of people have been asking this. Answered it. I'm all for it. All right, Joanna Clapton. I don't know. This seems like AI. And if y'all are following me on Twitter, go in and you'll see what I'm talking about. But the question is actually not a bad question. I think it's totally an AI tool. I think this is a fake individual. If you go and look at the profile, you'll understand. It says, hello, Jeff. I'm John from North Carolina. I listen to all your shows. I was wondering next year, do you think drafting a quarterback in the first round and re-sign Wilson for 2 years, teach him how to play in the NFL? All right, John, or Joanna Clapton, whoever this is. If it's fake, it's a good question. I understand the thought process on wanting to look ahead, that wanting to see, okay, well, what are the Steelers going to do after this year? But I wouldn't take a quarterback in the first round. The Steelers are 8-2. They're not going to get a good quarterback at that spot. Let's pump the brakes on that. All right, let's go to Steeler Fan 69 to finish up the show. Hi, Jeff. My kids refuse to eat leftover tacos for dinner, so my wife asked me to throw them out. I did. Now I have no idea what to do with the tacos. Next, what did Pink Panther say when he stepped on an ant? Dead ant, dead ant, dead ant, dead ant, dead ant, dead ant, dead ant. Get it? Dead ant. Very nice. The Pink Panther theme. Thank you very much. Folks, this has been a whole lot of stuff in one podcast. I don't like these. I don't like the Thursday games. We're going to have to do this again before Christmas with a Wednesday game. For goodness gracious, I don't know what to do that week. But nonetheless, y'all are troopers. Y'all been on board. You are 100% in. I love it. Thank you all very much. Remember to check out SteelCurtainNetwork.com. That's SteelCurtainNetwork.com, as well as all of our podcasts like the Steel City Insider podcast coming out today at 11. Check out all the stuff gearing up for the game. I'll be on the post-game show. I'll be back on Friday with Winners and Losers podcast. It's going to be a blast. Hope you all enjoy it as much as I do. But we finish these out. Be safe, be kind, and God bless. Have a great rest of your week. Enjoy the game on Thursday, and we'll see you on Friday. Go Steelers.